Alright, what's going on, you guys? It's Rahul here, back again with another video, and today I just wanted to come out here with one of my final NFL draft videos, as the draft is tomorrow. And today I wanted to talk about who I believe the Cincinnati Bengals should take with the 5th overall pick. And as you guys can tell from the title, it is PENEI SEWELL. But yeah, with that being said, before we do get started, make sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed, as it really helps out the channel. Subscribe if you guys are new and enjoy the content on here so you do not miss out on videos like this. Plus, we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and once we hit our goal, I will finally do a face reveal. But with that being said, let's just get this video started. So, going over a quick recap of how we got here. Of course, during the 2020 NFL season, Joe Burrow, he got injured, and a large part of that was because the offensive line for the Bengals was really bad. And after this injury, Bengals fans and NFL fans, just around the NFL world, they started slamming Cincinnati's front office for not protecting Joe Burrow well. And it seemed kind of obvious that after this injury that the Bengals, that they would take PENEI SEWELL. However, as we started getting closer to the draft, there are a lot of rumors about them taking Ja'Marr Chase, who was Joe Burrow's former teammate at LSU, instead of PENEI SEWELL. And eventually, these rumors started becoming, so hot, I guess, to the point where a lot of Bengals fans really wanted PENEI SEWELL, wanted Ja'Marr Chase, and to the point where there's actually legit questions, could the Bengals take Ja'Marr Chase? However, despite these rumors, I still think they should take PENEI SEWELL, and this is something I've been feeling for a long time. So, you might be wondering, Rahul, why should the Bengals draft PENEI SEWELL? Well, here's why. Now, first off, I think this is maybe the most obvious reason, and that is offensive line is their biggest need. And it really makes a lot of sense to address your biggest needs in the first round. Now, that doesn't always necessarily work, I will say that, because there are times when, there aren't exactly, players worth taking, at that position of need with the first round pick you have. But in this case, it's really not the case for PENEI SEWELL. PENEI SEWELL at number 5, that is not reaching at all. And, offensive line being the biggest need for the Cincinnati Bengals, I mean, it just makes a lot, that's already a really good reason to draft PENEI SEWELL. So, that's an obvious reason. But going on to, my next reason, that is protecting Joe Burrow, to me, should be the Bengals' number 1 priority. Because, first off, having a good offensive line is a very underrated part of a successful NFL, team. We all obviously like to, gross over, the quarterbacks, the legend, the hard-hitting linebackers, the cornerbacks, and all those skill positions. We like to, gross over those positions, and don't get me wrong, I can see why, but having a good offensive line is a very important part if you want to end up, contending for a championship. And the reason why is because you need to be able to protect your quarterback, because if your quarterback is getting hit all the time, that can bring up health issues. So your starting quarterback may not be able to be there all the time, and that could hurt your chances of winning games, and contending for championships. Not only that, but if they can't get much time to throw, then they can't exactly, bring out the best in themselves, if you know what I mean. They can't always, be the best version of themselves. And because of that, I believe protecting Joe Burrow should be a massive priority, since if they can keep him healthy, well, they can maximize his talents, he can develop a lot better, and he can develop into the player we all know he can be, and that can open up a Super Bowl window. And that, I mean, who doesn't want to win a Super Bowl? Ultimately, the goal for every NFL franchise at some point, whether, it's the upcoming season or eventually sometime in the future, the goal for every team is to win a championship. And, having a good, protecting your franchise quarterback, it's a big, that's a big part of it. You need to be able to protect Joe Burrow so you can, maximize his talents, and so he can, stay healthy. I mean, a good example of that is the Seattle Seahawks. Every year we say the Seattle Seahawks are gonna be making a deep playoff run and all that stuff, but they haven't made it past the second round of the playoffs since the 2014-15 season. And a big reason why is because the offensive line is not that good, and that was really brought to light this off season, as Russell Wilson expressed, a lot of frustration with the Seattle's front office about providing a good offensive line for him. Or take a look at the Super Bowl. Kansas City did not lose that game because they lacked, weapons. Now, I mean, I guess you could say part of it was because they don't really have a good number 2 receiver, and that is a need. But I think we can all agree the main reason why the Kansas City Chiefs lost Super Bowl 55 is because they could not protect Patrick Mahomes. After 2 seconds, he had to run for his damn life. Now, having their 2 starting tackles out definitely did not help, but the point is, the offensive line still played bad, and that was the biggest reason why, why the Kansas City Chiefs ended up losing Super Bowl 55. Not only that, but one of my third reason for drafting PENEI Sewell is that PENEI Sewell is a generational talent. I mean, this relates to my point about like a point about reaching 4 players. But PENEI Sewell at 5 is not a reach. I mean, first off, he is a generational talent, and he is a very talented player. And I mean, he can improve the team through sheer talent. Plus, not only that, but he fits a position of need. I mean, I'm gonna say it yet again. He fits a position of need. So the fact that he fits a position of need and also can improve your team through sheer talent is another good reason why you might want to draft PENEI Sewell instead of Jamar Chase. Plus, it really just makes sense to patch up your biggest weaknesses in the first round. If there are players worth taking at that position of need with your first round pick, and PENEI Sewell, he is worth taking with the 5th overall pick. Not only that, but another underrated part of having a good offensive line is how it can elevate your running back, and the Bengals do have one of the best running backs in the league in Joe Mixon. I mean, that can really elevate Joe Mixon. Now, Joe Mixon, he has, had some health issues in the past, but I mean, we've seen how good he can be with a bad offensive line. So imagine how good he can be with a good offensive line, I mean, having a good offensive line, I mean, it is just a really underrated part, and I said it earlier in the video, but having a good offensive line can do wonders for your team. I mean, your quarterback gets enough time to throw, so you can, you can do like a lot of, long developing concepts. Your run game can improve, and having a good offensive line can just do absolute wonders. That's all I'm really trying, that's really what I'm saying. And a lot of you guys might counter and say, oh, but Rahul, this offensive line class is deep. And I mean, you can always take an offensive lineman in the 2nd round. I mean, there's rounds besides the 1st. And my friend, I mean, you are absolutely correct. The offensive line class, I will say, it's deep, and there are rounds outside of the 1st. But at the same time, while that is true, PENEI Sewells don't exactly grow on trees. And PENEI Sewell, he's not going to be there in the 2nd round. And honestly, why not just get the best of the best? Don't you want the best of, the best, players available? I mean, you want the best players available, of course, the ones that fit your position of need usually and all, but why not just take the best players available? Because obviously, he's most likely he can be a better player than those guys, and I mean, who doesn't want that, because while this class is deep, why not just get the best of the best? That's really what I'm trying to say. Now, I also do want to say that wide receiver is also a need, and some of you guys might be saying, well, yeah, offensive line is a need, but yeah, wide receiver is also a need, and yes, wide receiver is a need for Cincinnati. But to me, it's not as big of a need as offensive line because A, offensive line is the biggest need for the Bengals, and B, Cincinnati's wide receiving core is already pretty decent. They could just use just one more piece, and there are also legitimate questions about who their number 1 receiver could be. Tyler Boyd is still, he's a really good player, but there's a lot of questions about whether he can be a number 1 because he is a slot receiver, and slot receivers are typically not number 1 receivers. Not only that, but I also do want to say that they do have T. Higgins, and T. Higgins was a very good rookie wideout, but we don't know if he can be a number 1 receiver. But hey, maybe there's a chance that he could be a number 1 receiver. But also, going to the point that, this offensive line class is deep, well, at the same time, this wide receiving core, it's also deep. So you can take a wide receiver later in the draft, like someone like a De'Ami Brown. It could be pretty good. Maybe you do luck, you're lucky and you get someone like a Terrace Marshall Jr. I mean, that you can take a wide receiver later on in the draft too. So I also do want to say that maybe you also could trade up back into the 1st round and all. But yeah, you can address the wide receiver later on. Now, I also do want to say that PENEI Sewell is gone by number 5. Jamar Chase would not be a bad option. And I'm not trying to say that Jamar Chase should not. I'd rather have PENEI Sewell. They should take PENEI Sewell rather than Jamar Chase because Jamar Chase is a bad player. Believe me, it's not that. It's because I believe, it's because of the reasons I listed before. I mean, offensive line is the biggest need for the Bengals. Protecting Joe Burrow should be the #1 priority. And Sewell is a generational talent, and having a good offensive line and could also elevate Joe Mixon. Now, I also do want to add on by saying that the Bengals, they could not make a lot of offensive line offensive line splashes in free agency. Riley Reef to me was a decent pickup, but I think they need one more piece to solidify that offensive line, and I believe PENEI Sewell can be that piece. But yeah, that's really all I really wanted to say, for this video. It was just something I felt, and it was just something I really wanted to get off my chest. But yeah, with that being said, thank you guys a lot for watching. It really means a lot to me. Of course, you guys know what to do. Like the video if you enjoyed, as it really helps out the channel. Subscribe if you guys are new and enjoy the content on here so you do not miss out on videos like this. Plus, we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and once we hit our goal, I will finally do a face reveal. But with that being said, I'm out, you guys.